So I just wanted to share something that I just feel like God is laying on my heart, and that would be if you ever feel led to reach out to somebody to see how they're doing, or even someone you haven't talked to in a really long time, or you feel like God is prompting you to encourage them in some way or something, to just follow that prompting. Because yesterday, I don't know how, but I guess this person that I follow shared a story, and it was about this guy who was about to commit suicide. And she didn't know this. She felt a very strong tug in her spirit to reach out to this guy and encourage him. And now, I mean, I don't know, like, if they were just friends or what the deal was, or but God used her to bring encouragement to this man, and now they are married and have 5 kids. And shortly after I had watched that video, I got this text message and said, pray for this person, from somebody, and they said they had just talked down someone from committing suicide, and it was all just starting to hit them, just how heavy that whole situation was. And I'm like, what in the world? I don't see this stuff all the time, but I just came across this video, and then minutes later, got this text to pray for somebody, and then I have been reading this book, and it's this book that this neurosurgeon is writing, and he just shares a bunch of different stories about brain cancer, trauma to the brain, things like that. And so yesterday when I was reading, this was a couple hours later, I had read about a specific story about this young man, yet again, a man, third time this day, who this neurosurgeon had to go on call, come in the middle of the night, because this guy had tried to commit suicide by basically shooting his brains out, of which he did. And the first 2 stories were stories where these people had been talked out of this action. And this last story, obviously, it was too late. And it just put this heavy burden, I guess, on my heart, because I have been in a place where I've not wanted to live. And it took God putting people into my life to encourage me and lift me up. And these are things that I never shared with anybody. But just the encouragement that I would get from others at just the right time, like, just really blessed me and helped me to think through things differently. And I have also watched my sister, Melody, who has recently passed, from another set of circumstances, when she was a teenager, tried to commit suicide. And that was one of the worst scenes that I could have walked on. And my younger brother, obviously, he's had many times, 5 or 6, that he has attempted to commit suicide. And I think this is something that we don't really talk about, and I've expressed frustrations in this past year of just feeling like people just, I mean, I know people are really busy, but just feeling very isolated, and like people just don't care, and yada, yada, yada. And I just see the power of people reaching down and checking in with other people. And I think there's an uncomfortability that can come with that sometimes, especially if you haven't talked to someone in a really long time. But we need community, we need other people, and there are so many people who just need to know that somebody cares. And whether that's just a simple text message or an invitation to come over, something of those sorts, those are necessary things. And there's so many situations and times that I have heard, this person committed suicide and nobody had any idea what was going on. And I often wonder, well, how often did you even check in with this person? Did you ask them how they were doing? Were you okay with uncomfortable answers that they may give you? And were you okay to just sit with them and let them work through their emotions and get to a place where they are thinking through things clearly again? And we live in a society where allowing people to feel is unacceptable. And if you feel a certain way, people just want to brush it off and they want to fix it and they want to do all these things, when a lot of times we just need to be heard. We just need to know that somebody cares enough to listen and cares enough to give us their time. And I know for me that has made the biggest difference in my life, and I believe that's fully why I'm here today, is because God has placed people at different seasons and times to speak life over me, to encourage me in times where I didn't necessarily know that's what I needed. And so if you find yourself feeling led to reach out to somebody you haven't reached out to in a long time, do it, because we have no idea what people are going through these days. I know there's so many things that I've gone through that I haven't shared with people. And a lot of times I think if only people knew, like, that all these things were going on at one time. Like, I wonder if people would check in on me. I wonder if they would see how I'm doing. And I think we just get uncomfortable with asking those questions, and I think we just need to reach a place where we're comfortable with being uncomfortable, because we need that. We need people to feel like they're being heard and held, and providing that space for them. And if you're on the other side feeling like, well, I'm the one who's isolated and I have nobody and all of these things, then I would say to you, having been there, that there's a reason that you're here, and there is a story that you have to tell. And I remember thinking for years, why am I here? This makes no sense. Why am I going through all this stuff? This is just so hopeless. And being on the other side of those things and having wrestled with them, and not that there aren't times that I still ask those questions, but being on their side, I have seen countless times and situations where I've been in just random settings with people I've never met who were just so broken, and I'm able to speak into them and say, I understand, and these are the things that I have felt, and these are the things that I have experienced. And sharing the hard stuff somehow brings hope. Hearing somebody's hard story for myself in the midst of something difficult that I am going through has brought so much life and hope in a way that I could never express. And so I just wanted to share these things that I have been feeling just this past day. It's just felt so heavy, and you never know who might stumble across something and need to hear something. And if we feel a prompting from God to do something, then we need to be obedient to that prompting, because a lot of times we never see half of the things that God uses through things we say or through things that we do. So be light, and remember that no matter where you're at in your story, that your story is your story to be told and to bring hope to others.